To support this podcast, go to positivesarcasm.com/donate. Any amount is appreciated. Once again, positivesarcasm.com/donate. Thank you and enjoy the program. JRPositiveSarcasm.com, recorded here from the Spare Parts Studio alongside New Hampshire's beautiful seacoast. Like, subscribe, share, donate. For entertainment purposes only, positivesarcasm.com/donate. Any amounts appreciated. Windy ass day alongside New Hampshire's beautiful seacoast. Find me on Instagram at @positive_sarcasm. You can hit me up on my website, positivesarcasm.com. Contact me there on the contact page, or you can just email me directly, positivesarcasm@outlook.com. I don't have a lot of notes this week. Sorry, I was away last week. There was a lot of stuff going on. Transitioning from winter to spring and things like that. And it's just, there was a lot going on, unfortunately. And my apologies to the viewers. Just wasn't able to get here and sit down and collect some thoughts. Even this week has been a bit of a struggle. So I've been dealing with the health stuff. I attended a wake briefly, and just trying to get ready for spring and the current events. How do I want to start this? So logically, let's think with all the current events that are going on. How do we navigate this logically? Because as a person, just as one individual, you're not. Let's just say you're not a town council. You're not a mayor. You're not a member of the board or something, or even a library trustee. You're just a citizen who goes to work or runs their small business or is in higher education. Good on you if that's what you're doing. And you're just going through your feed, and you're seeing the corruption that is being unfolded with the immigration stuff, the Nick Shirley documentation, the Project Veritas stuff. Or not Project Veritas, the O'Keefe Media stuff, or there's still Ukraine, Russia, there's still Israel, Palestine, there's still China and Taiwan, there's still all these things, and now there is USA and Iran, or Iran, excuse me. I want to get it right. There's all these things that are clogging up your feed that a lot of people are spending, in my opinion, too much time. There's too much focus on it. It's taking up a lot of their day, whether they're out there protesting ICE, whether they're out there, doing whatever. And I understand. First off, this is not really part of it. I don't really get too political on here. When I say political, meaning I don't favor one side or another, I don't talk about that in favor. If I see something that's stupid, I talk about it. If I see something that's ridiculous, I talk about it. If I see something that is right in front of your face that you may have an ability to navigate, in order to make your life better, then I'll talk about that as well. And I try to keep things pretty simplistic. I know the world out there seems like it's complicated, but it's not. If you just look at trends over the past 100 years, you can tend to figure out where something is going. I'm not asking you to time the market, I'm not asking you to do anything like that. But it always seems to me like folks are wasting a lot of precious time. And I'm kudos to some of my friends or buddies. I don't know if they'd call me a friend, but kudos to some of the acquaintances I know in my life that are business minded, and they do the hustle, and they are not wasting time going online or going to protests or complaining about this, that, or the other thing. They're just focused on making a really good living, getting ahead, getting out of the rat race, achieving escape velocity. If you don't know what achieving escape velocity means, it basically is you're to the point where you are not worried about your paycheck to paycheck. You're not worried about how much steak costs or how much gas prices are. You officially made it into the stratosphere, and you don't have to really worry about anything anymore, as long as you're stream of income that you've built for yourself continues to move along at a certain percentage of pace, you essentially don't have to worry about anything anymore. And kudos to you for doing that. But I have people I know that do that, whether it's through real estate or maybe they started a small company that does like payment processing or something like that, and or a couple rental properties, or they have enough investments, or they have their pension. Good for you. Those people did it. They focused on what mattered, which was their foundation, their stability. And I think it's, regardless of whether you have an opinion on the wars that we are currently involved in, whether directly or by proxy, whether you have an opinion about immigration or ICE or airport TSA or the Epstein files or the JFK files or the Maha movement or your town politics. At the end of the day, you have to focus on how you're going to navigate through, because once one crisis ends, there's going to be another. And sometimes it almost feels like it's manufactured. I'm not here to entertain those ideas. Okay, I'm not. If I see something and I really want to discuss it further, maybe like Epstein or Black Lives Matter fraud scheme, that had factual investigative evidence, then we'll discuss it if it's an interesting topic and it takes up a certain amount of time. But ultimately, you're in a position now where you can see a lot of distractions online or maybe in your local town. And these things are unfortunately causing your brain to have a detour, which means things are going to take longer or you're never going to reach your destination. I implore you, as an individual who has most likely little to no power over only what your coffee order is going to be, to focus on how you are going to get from point A to point B. Each day, each week, each month, each year, and how you are going to achieve that with a minimal amount of financial loss, with a minimal amount of stress, which is something I've learned about. Let me talk to you about stress for a minute. This is something that I've been focused on for the past 2 months. From the beginning of April right up until today. It's getting warmer up here. I'm getting outdoors more. I'm getting to drive my favorite car more. These are the things I'm looking forward to, that I'm focusing on and I'm preparing for it. Like, I'm out there raking leaves or raking up sticks, and I'm enjoying what somebody is doing. I'm taking pride. Pride's a sin, but taking pride taking enjoyment out of how I'm going to present what I drive, how I dress, who I'm with, and where I live, and enjoying presenting that to the world. Like, I can be organized. I can set an example of doing something that benefits the community, even if it's just maintaining the front lawn. This may invoke a smile out of people who pass by. People do that. Like, I'm out there making piles and leaves, and the Mustang sitting there. Some people stop or they wave. One person stopped today and said, hey, doing a good job, blah, blah, blah. And it's, and it's a little banter to let you know that, hey, you're accepted by the community that you live in. Whether it be like an HOA community or just a small quiet road that you live on, that you see the same cars going by day in and day out. Oh, there's the lady in the Tesla, there's the guy in the Subaru, there's the person in the Jeep, and and you wave. There's the guy in the Tundra, and it's like you wave, and by doing that, you're assimilating and your most important thing is to assimilate into your neighborhood. The people that have already been there, if you want to be like them, if you want to move there, you should live like they do in a way. You can have your own individual thoughts and feelings and the way you're going to decorate your house and what you do inside of your house. But at the end of the day, it only pays to really be a part of the neighborhood in such a way where you're at least friendly or approachable, or your place is presentable. I think we've kind of lost that in some way. I think people are more focused on what's going on in their Facebook feed or their Instagram feed or their TikTok feed or their Snapchat feed or their Telegram feed, I don't know, whatever feed. their YouTube feed, and I'm starting to lean more towards, I want to learn about cooking more. I'm more fascinated by what some guy in Paris is doing with Armagnac and red wine and sheep and rabbit and all that stuff. Or I want to know what some bodybuilder out of, Toronto is how he's making sandwiches and his hilarity. And I want to know what Nico and Nico Leonard, I want to know what his opinion about watches and stuff. And I want to get to know, or Teddy Baldessar. I want to learn about watches a little bit more. I want to learn about cars a little more. I actually want to learn something. I want to gain some knowledge. I want to gain some insight. Instead of just sitting there focusing on, oh, what target do we hit next? I understand that this stuff has ramifications on us. Don't believe me. I do. I remember making $37,000 a year, living in a winter rental, paying $1,325 a month before the electric bill showed up, which was $100, and having to drive a 23-year-old, actually 25-year-old Lincoln Continental, and dealing with $5 a gallon gas prices. I went through that. But I lived, I survived, I figured it out. I understood whether I liked it or not. This was my budget. I started a brand new, job and career, and it's like, okay, I'm here, I'm down here now. I've got my dog. This is all that matters, is just living down here. A man generally wants two things, but he will settle for one. He aims for peace and quiet. If he doesn't get peace, he's gonna get quiet. That's just how it is. And he will go for quiet by any means necessary. But if he can get peace, which is prosperity, love, financial freedom, then he will happily absorb that into his life. But he'll go for quiet if he has to. Now, I understand that there is ramifications to what's going on in the Middle East. Obviously, fuel prices and electric prices have increased. If you have liquid natural gas or oil being delivered to your house, yes, it has increased $100 per 150 gallons. Yes, if you go to the gas station and you fill up, the prices have increased in my area from $2.69 to $3.79. If you're doing mid-grade, which I do in my Mustang, it's like $4.25. I understand that electric will go up a little bit, especially because it's summertime, springtime's going to be approaching, so the kilowatt numbers change or whatever. I understand that. There isn't anything that you can do about that. Whether you drive an electric car, a regular car, a hybrid, anything. There are some ways you can get around it. Ultimately, maybe you drive a scooter. I don't know. But ultimately, it does impact you in some way, and your consumer prices will increase. Okay, they're only increasing because of what potentially the prices of these things is going to be in the future. Not right now. That's why they call it trading futures. Ultimately, your responsibility is how to navigate that. Not as a steward of the community, but ultimately, how are you going to get out of this? Because it's going to go from being one thing to another. Yes. Real estate prices have kind of stabilized at the moment, but that doesn't matter to you if you're not looking for a home and you have a nice place, or you have a nice place that you're renting. That doesn't make any difference to you at this point. Okay. Your main focus is to be like, can I afford to live here? Can I afford where I'm living? Can I afford the dailies? I understand that if your gas bill goes up a weekly, say you spend $30 or $40 a week on gas, it's gonna maybe could go up from like between 60 and 80. That is your responsibility to navigate. That's your responsibility to navigate and still maintain your weekly routine. If doing that breaks you, you need to replan. Like I talked about earlier in the year, that cutting 12 and this is why I suggested in the last podcast of last year, the final podcast of last year, cutting down by 12.5%. So if you have a weekly budget of $200 or $300 or $100, I get it. even if it is only $100 or $80, 12.5%, if you're doing that, this is why. You have 12.5% that you're shaving off each your weekly budget. And maybe you can't do 12.5, maybe you're doing 10. Maybe you need that $5 or $10 extra to do other things. I understand. Everybody is capable of setting aside at least something for something else, whether it's a vacation, stuff for your car, savings, investments, or untimely events such as this, where your financial demand as far as what you drive or your electric bill, they go up. It's understandable. But I told you this was a good idea. You should have listened, because that 12.5% would be helping you right now, being like, okay, well, I've allocated my budget to do this, so I've been carving, like, maybe I'm not buying these chips anymore. Maybe I'm buying the less expensive cranberry juice, or maybe I'm not buying this, that, and the other. And it's like, okay, so you cut back as a consumer, and it's okay. It's okay to be a consumer, but you can't be a glutton. Like, there are some things you shouldn't be doing. Like, why the fuck are you buying coffee that costs like $5 to $7 every single day? You need to cut that back. These things, if you cut back by 12.5% of your weekly budget, you'd be like, okay, well, now gas is up, and now I got to spend $40 instead of $20, $60 instead of $40, $80 instead of $60. Either way, that 12.5% that's there. It's like, okay, this is going to help cover some of that quote pain. Okay. Now you could still, if you look hard enough, buy deals. Generally, when the pinch is on, people tend to sacrifice, and if you're in a smart position, you can gain off their sacrifice. Like in a situation like this, where gas prices get ridiculous, and we're coming out of winter, do you live in an area where people drive SUVs? And if you live in an area where people drive SUVs, maybe the demand for SUVs won't be there because gas prices are so high. People that would not be as likely to let go of their SUVs may consider it, because the vehicle market is saturated, absolutely saturated. So maybe if you want an SUV and you're looking to cut, you may be looking to get one, and people are maybe going to let go more because they don't want to spend the money on gas. They don't need it. You might be your opportunity to do that. Or if you're looking to cut back and sell your SUV, I mean, if you want to go through, like, there's options, there's CarMax, there's Carvana, there's Private Sale, there's Craigslist, there's Facebook, there's Cars.com, there's Auto Trader. You can post any of these places and get rid of your car. And here's the cool thing is you don't have to shop around in your local area. You can find a car that's all the way out in California, and you can have it shipped. So maybe it's like, okay, I have $4,000 and I want to get a car, and it's like there's a bunch of older Nissan Sentras that were very simple cars, easy to maintain. Nissan Sentra was a very good car back in the early 2000s. Very good car. The late 90s all the way up to like 2010s. Great great Nissan Sentra. You can get those for like $4,000. $5,000 the most. Power windows, locks, AC, CD player, tilt, cruise control, 30-something miles a gallon, nice trunk, back seat. And you can get that and have it shipped for, probably like between $400 and $1,000. But then at the end of the day, you own that car outright. It's got probably maybe 40,000 miles on it. You can drive that thing into the ground if you want, but you're bringing your cost down. You own this thing, so you can choose your insurance depending upon what state you live in. If you want to move, but here's the thing is you also have, like, if maybe you don't want to live up here anymore, maybe you want to live in a place where it's sunny all the time. Okay, you need a car. You now have an option of, I don't want to drive cars that are going to get rusty anymore. I want to move to Florida. Perfect. You go get an $80,000 condo down there in the like Lauderdale Lakes area, maybe on the East Coast. There's plenty of jobs down there, regardless of AI and things like that. There's still demand for things that need to get done in the meantime. So moving down there is not a hard task. And life down there is cheap. It is cheap because you only need to own one car. And that car can be whatever you want. If you want to drive a muscle car, if you want to drive a convertible, if you want to drive a Nissan Sentra, whatever it is, you can afford to do it. Also, you have the option of alternative transportation. You have electric bicycles that you can drive back and forth. You can get scooters. You can do that. Boosted boards, whatever. Or bicycle, because Fort Lauderdale's flat. You have options. You should not be focusing on what's going on overseas to the point where it's literally just going to pop your brain. You need to focus on basically like, okay, how do I'm prepping myself to navigate this financially and emotionally. Stress-wise, this is not my problem. Let me get back to stress. Stress-wise, these are issues I've encountered before with far less resources. All I need to focus on is what I've been doing is getting plenty of rest, waking up at a decent time, going through my morning, a decent routine, sticking with it, not getting lost in the cell phones and on the interwebs, going through my day as calmly, because ultimately there's a lot of things that are out of your control. But writing everything down, it's like, oh, this is a critical thought. Write it down. Basically, I've separated, like, I have business and then I have non-business, and I separate it by a line, and I write down each time. I write down, this is the thing I need to get done, this is the thing I need to get done, this is the thing I need to get done, and then over here I go, okay, this is something I need to do when I get home. Okay, write that down, write that down, and then as I go through them, I mark them off. Page, it's full to the bottom, rip it off, write a brand new one of the things that I couldn't get done, and repopulate the list with the stuff that hasn't gotten done. Nice and clean. And it's like, okay, I'm going to get to this. I'm going to get to that. And eventually, little by little. Maybe you're doing landscaping renovations, but you don't have all the money to do it all. Well, then you start buying incrementally. And what can you do yourself? Obviously, you can rake by yourself. You can dig holes by yourself. You can plant flowers by yourself. You can put potting soil and crushed rock and mulch down by yourself. You can mow the lawn by yourself. You can put, rock edging by yourself. You can do all these things by yourself. And these are things that'll occupy your time, not in a negative way, but ultimately you'll look at it and be like, I did that. It's like making your bed every morning. It's like making coffee or tea every morning. It's like, I did this. This is part of my routine. I did it myself. I didn't rely on anybody else to do it. You have enough food in the fridge where prep in the morning is easy. You have your clothes laid out. Little things you can do before you go to sleep that it's like your brain's not thinking about it. And the less that your brain's thinking about it, regardless of whether you're taking sleeping supplements or weed or whatever, the less that you're thinking about, the more likely you are to get to sleep successfully. And these are the things like I implore you to navigate around while all these things are going on. Because I've talked about this in the past. You have to assume that tomorrow's going to come. You have to assume that there's going to be challenges and obstacles tomorrow that you're going to have to navigate through and plan accordingly. And be like, okay, still going to do this, still got to do that. All right, we're going to do that. Okay? Unless a missile hits your house, and I say that with the most first world of intention, unless a missile is going to hit your house, you have to move forward. If you've got $20 left in your pocket and you only need 10 of it to put gas in your car, which is about 2 gallons right now, 3 maybe, and that'll get you to the next pay period, but you got $10 left over, and maybe there's a sale on like chicken or beef or something, you go grab a package or two, and then you take the rest of it. It's like, all right, I got $4 or $5 left over, put that in, maybe you have like a car account or a vacation account, or maybe you want to buy a new something for yourself, but you got $4 or $5 left over. Okay. Go or you want to buy some stock with it. You can go buy fractional shares, $5 a share. And you just take that and you're like, I'm going to do this with it. Everybody in reality, 95% of the population lives paycheck to paycheck. What does that mean? That's used so often. It's like, yeah, you're supposed to live paycheck to paycheck in the beginning. You get a paycheck, it gets you groceries, it gets you gas, it gets you this, that, and the other thing. And then you get on to the next week. But it's a question of, did I need to buy those gummy bears? Did I need to go have drinks at the bar? Or could I have taken that money, at least a percentage of it, and put it here and put it there? While missiles are flying overseas, you're focusing on getting ahead little by little. Or if you're really, really behind, digging yourself out of that hole little by little, not with minimum monthly payments. I stress this so that you don't. Maybe maybe finances are not your problem. Maybe finances are not your problem. Maybe I've got a 10 or 15 year plan on how I'm going to deal with the summer, like the gas prices for the summer. Because even if this war ended in 6 weeks, that would bring us to mid-May. The prices are not gonna dissipate until like August, September. They're not going to come back down to normal for a long time because the supply chain has been once again interrupted. Every time the supply chain's interrupted, prices go up. Okay? So that takes a long time for it to it took years for the real estate market to even flatline a little bit. A little bit. That's years. And it will take many more years for more real estate development to happen, if we're lucky. Gas prices will take months. But maybe you've got the pricing thing figured out. Maybe you're like, I got it. I got this plan. I got the money. Cool. Maybe cooking is your issue. Maybe like I don't know how to cook. Maybe I order out too much. Which maybe isn't that bad for you. Maybe it's like I can do just fine with a fucking Domino's pizza every single day. Cost me like $10 and I move on with my life. All right, fine. You can do that for only so long, but just let you know. Or maybe you were rocking ramen noodles, which also not bad, but right now I can't really take in the sodium. But these are options. These are options. It's not the greatest options, but you can do that. Let's just say you are like you really before we get to the cooking part, let's just say you really are in a point where you can't afford a lot of like groceries. Or you have to like, okay, well, yeah, maybe pizza is a way to go. You know, maybe you make yourself like a little pizza every single day. Maybe, I don't know, maybe on bagel or some cheap bread or some cheap dough. You get some easy fixings like a little jar of sauce, a little bit of dough, a little bit of cheese and some leftover chopped meat or whatever. There, make that a pizza. Okay, good. You got a pizza. You got something. You got sustenance. You got some type of nutrients. You can work that off in the gym. You can run it off. You can do something with that. Noodles, ramen noodles. I mean, you can at least you can puff that up by putting like eggs in there. Eggs are not expensive right now. You can put an egg in there and let that shit boil. You can put little pieces of meat in there. You can put broccoli in there. You can make like a wholesome soup out of it or something. All right, there's that. You can do that. So there is a way of you can get like little things to get you through the day food-wise. But if you don't know how if you were trying to figure out how to cook, I mean, there's things that you can, if your issue is in the kitchen, it's like, all right, well, get yourself a bottle of balsamic vinaigrette. All right. A bottle of olive oil, butter, red wine vinegar, cooking oil, and just get a bunch of, these are all inexpensive things. Olive oil is like between, in reality, $5 and $12. Butter, between $2 and $4. Red wine vinegar, a few dollars. Balsamic vinaigrette, a few dollars. Cooking oil, a few dollars. And and a lot of those they'll keep for a very long time. But these are things that will add a little bit of this and of there, and you keep them nearby. Salt, pepper, and then if you want some seasonings, you can go with McCormick's. You can go with whatever. Obviously, some healthier seasonings like turmeric. Keep those in the shelf as well. Coconut oil, keep that in the shelf. Keep these things, and that's your simple. Now, how are you going to utilize them in the kitchen? What are you going to cook with that? Well, it's like, what do you want to eat on a daily basis? What can you put in your oven? Well, you can put chicken in your oven. You can put pork in the oven. You can do all that stuff. But if you're going to cook on the stovetop, you can get like broccoli and carrots and just take them over some oil. Just take a little bit of oil, put it on between 5 and 6, so about mid. When the oil starts to generally when you put oil in a pan and you tilt it, it slowly goes down. It slowly drains one way or another. Once it gets hotter, it starts to move faster. That's when you put, generally, if you're just cooking with basic, if you're just a basic idiot who has money figured out but doesn't have cooking figured out, when the oil starts to drain from one side to another faster, then it's ready to be basically used. So basically take your broccoli in there. If you have frozen carrots or frozen broccoli or fresh broccoli and fresh carrots that are, in proportion, smaller proportions, they cook faster. Toss them in there. Toss it in there. If you have some garlic, actually we'll deal with the garlic later. Oh, when it comes to garlic, whole cloves. Do not buy that minced garlic in the jar shit. That's disgusting. It's not even real. That's terrible. You got your stuff in there. Take the pot, cover it for like a couple minutes so that it can start, the water can extract and cook the food a little bit faster. And then like 2 minutes. 2 minutes, 3 minutes tops. Take that cover off. Now you have a food that could be done in a few minutes. It's just carrots and broccoli. And then take some garlic that you maybe chopped. Throw that in there. Throw your seasonings in there a little bit. Stir that up a little bit. And then let it cook for another 4 to 5 minutes on mid-heat. And then once that's done, move that aside. And then now you basically got your prep. If you don't know how to do any of that and you just want to slow cook it all, just take it all and throw it in a crock pot or one of those like tabletop cookers and just cook all your ground beef, cook all your meats or whatever, and then throw in your pastas, there's many ways of doing that. If you keep it simple and you try not to slave over a hot stove constantly trying to figure out this recipe or that recipe, take all your recipes and throw them in the trash. You're going to stick with essentials: meat, veggies, carbohydrates, and some fats. At least to focus on getting through the day, of learning staples that you can cook to save you money. You're good. So, boil some pasta, boil some rice. If you don't like boiling rice and you want to use a rice cooker, fine. Who cares? Pasta, super easy. Just get it to a boil, throw the pasta in, stir it with a little bit of salt. You don't need oil. Just a little bit of salt. Season, throw that up. Drain it in a colander. If you can rescue some of the pasta water, great. It's useful. Adds a proper texture. And then throw that in with your carrots and your broccoli you just made. Now you got your pasta. Now you got your veggies. And then that ground beef you got in there, or the ground chicken or whatever, just throw that in there as well. Add your seasonings. And then you're done. You've got that. Now you've got your money situation figured out. You've got food for tonight, food for tomorrow, maybe food for the next day. Depending upon your dietary restrictions, maybe you need to eat every couple hours or you only eat 3 times a day. Okay, cool. You need to focus on these things. Everything that I'm talking about may seem minuscule and stupid, and it's like I'm talking to a toddler. Well, the problem is there's a lot of people out there that are acting like toddlers right now. They are focusing on things that they shouldn't be focusing on. Too much, to the point where it's interrupting their ability to be a better person. So you need to focus on, if you've got money, if you don't have money figured out, listen to me and work on these little things. Granted, it's for entertainment purposes only, but still, focus on those things. Okay, this is my weekly budget. This is my monthly budget. How am I going to survive? If you've got that figured out, okay, let's move to food. Let's move to coffee and tea. This is your next thing. Your daily sustenance. How am I going to eat? What am I going to eat? Instead of just going out all the time. Cool. Here's your options. All right. Going to the gym. Super complicated. Doesn't need to be. You go to your gym. You do dips. You do squats. You do bench press. Okay? You do the very core basics. You have a back day, a leg day, an arm day, a shoulder day, a fucking chest day. And if you just go through these days with a real work ethic, the results will show. But you keep it simple. You don't need to be some kind of calisthenic geniuses, although calisthenic guys, they can really look good if they want to. You don't need to be like that. Okay? You really don't. You can just go and do the basics and just focus on doing the rep correctly. Like, I'm going to do the row with my back, my chest popped out, and I'm going to bring those things in. I'm going to make sure that I'm trying to break the bar in half so that my back is the one doing the work. So then you focus on that and get your 45 minutes to an hour and 15 in. If you're just doing cardio, that's fine. Make sure you're doing it at a reasonable intensity. Like I'm doing stairs. I've been doing stairs since February. Okay, I've been doing it 1 hour at level 4. It's not hard. I can do that for an hour, no problem. You burn 500 calories every time you do that. So when you think about it, if you're doing it 5 times a week like I'm doing, 5 times a week times 500 calories, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. That's 2,500 calories burned per week. And if I'm in a 500 caloric deficit each day, great. I'm burning roughly half a pound of body fat per week. Okay? That's the goal. So there is that. Ultimately, for the morning, I recommend cardio. In the afternoon, I recommend working out, actually lifting weights. If you're working out in the morning, you probably are not going to get a fat burn as much as actually just doing like cardio. And when I mean cardio, I don't mean running crazy. I just mean like calm, steady state, stress-free. Budgeting should be stress-free. Cooking should be stress-free. Going to the gym, as much stress as it puts on your body, should be stress-free. Going to work or running your business, yeah, there's stresses involved, but it should be stress-free if you have everything laid out as it should be laid out. You have your routines for the day, you have your timing mapped out, you're working on your supply versus demand, and it's like, this is where I am, this is what I need, this is what they want, this is how much it costs. You should be focusing on these things other than a No Kings protest in Boston. You should be focusing on these things other than the war in Iran. You should be focusing on these things other than the ICE protests or whatever. You should be focusing on these things. And if you are in an area in life or in an area location-wise that, or with people that promote these types of distractions that are not allowing you to move on with your life, you need to distance yourself, whether it be temporarily or permanently. If you've got to pack up your shit and move, if you've got to disassociate yourself from these people, if you've got to get a different job, don't worry about AI. Just focus on what you need to do. All right? AI is not taking over for the cook in the Five Guys kitchen who's making $22 an hour. All right? He can still survive. He can still live. Everybody who complains that they're 25 years old and they have a roommate. We all did. We all did. Unless you can find yourself a studio and you can budget really, really well, you're probably going to need a roommate for a couple of years. It's totally understandable. There's no shame in it. If people are shaming you for doing it, it's like the only reason you should be shamed is if you're obese. If you're obese, yes, you need some shaming. But if you're like 25 and you have a roommate, I understand. I get it. But focus on these things instead of world events. It's not going to help you. You take in a little information, you understand how it's going to affect your week to a degree. And then you go, okay, that challenge is going to cost me this, this, and this. This is going to take up this percentage of time. This, that, that. Okay. All right. Now that we understand what's going on here, we're going to put that over there and we're going to move forward. Because at the end of the day, this is not the stuff that you want to be dealing with when you're 40, when you're 50, when you're 60, when you're 70. Okay? Assume that nobody's going to be there to save you in the end. So, make sure that by the time you hit these years of your life where maybe you're thinking about slowing down a bit or transitioning into what you want to do, you at least have some intelligence from the age of 25 to the age of 40 where you are now you have a nest egg, you know how to cook a little bit, you have a little nest egg, your job's going good, your business is going good, you have some side income, ways of getting side income, you don't have large amounts of debt, you're not buried in your car payments, and you can move on with your life. Because ultimately this stuff will kill you if you focus on it too much. I still see people wearing masks in the grocery store, and some of them I understand. Others, I know why they're doing it. Because they're trying to make a statement. Truly. Like, The ones that are actually concerned about their health, I give them a pass. Their brain is kind of cooked. And I understand. Everybody's brain is cooked over the last 6 years. But there are some people who are doing it because they're looking to make a statement. You should not be looking to make a statement when you're going to shop for groceries. You don't need to be telling me what team you're on when you're going to shop for groceries. Just go and buy your fucking groceries and get the fuck out of the store. You're stressing yourself out by prepping to make a statement just by going into the produce section. Now, this stress that I'm talking about, stress that I'm focusing on alleviating, the stress that I've had to deal with for the past week, past month, past couple months, things that I'm really working on taking care of. Like I don't have large bills. Like every bill that I have, I'm focusing on taking care of it. I have a plan for the end of this year. I have a wedding to plan for. I have a vacation to go enjoy. I have people in my life that I'd like to be around. I have this pet that loves me to death. And I have this beautiful home that I'm looking to maintain for as long as I can be here. These are all low stress things. This podcast, I try to keep it stress free. Sometimes I stress over the fact that I can't do it as good as I'd like to. But this is not some record-breaking show. This is just something that keeps the project alive and allows me a small olive branch out into the world because I don't trust the world. The world hasn't done me a lot of favors. But this is my way out into the world to learn new things and explore my own thoughts. So now coming in here, sitting here and talking about it, it's very relieving knowing that I'm coming to a conclusion here. And something maybe that you can focus on too, because you guys are out there looking at all this stuff and liking it and reading it, and it's like it's not necessary. There's plenty of nice books out there, good movies, cool video games, and other things that you could be doing, learning about. But you're stressing about all this other stuff. I understand life is difficult. It's supposed to be. Once you understand that it's supposed to be difficult, especially in the beginning, you're going to move on. I get some things are expensive, but not everything. And I can talk to you about it. Name a subject. Name a subject that requires purchasing power, and we can discuss it. Clothes, money, watches, shoes, cars, living situations. Come to me with a subject matter, and we can discuss it. And see if it truly is beyond your wallet. But I implore you not to stress over it. Back in the day, I'm going to close on this. Back in the day, about between 2017 to 2020, 2021, about 4 years there, I did some video work and some assistance with this nonprofit organization, this family that I was working with. The mother, the daughter, the dad, two of the daughters actually, and all these volunteers. And the father passed away at the age of 59. And you never really saw him in the videos that I made. He was kind of in the background, being supportive, being helpful, but ultimately very useful. Very useful. But ultimately, he helped with the business. He helped with the nonprofit organization. He was part of the family. You know, he was on statins. That I know. Statins aren't great, but unfortunately, that was the situation that was the situation. And you know, for whatever reason, he passed away too soon. And I take from these situations something where it's like, all right, I'm going to learn what was provided and see if I can use any of this information to improve my own situation. But what was done what this person did and what they contributed is immeasurable. Generally, a lot of males, men, fathers, husbands, they provide a lot of support in the background. We do a lot of things that are generally unseen. And that's fine. That's what we do. We do things because we know they need to be done. And I have a lot of respect for that type of individual. In a world where it seems like a lot more men are not capable of doing important things without recognition, this man was capable of doing it. He did it every day. In many different ways. He provided. He supported. He built. He paved. He plowed. He did what he needed to do for as long as this earth allowed him to continue it. And I always liked him. He was a simple man. But he was always there. He always seemed like he was supportive. He always seemed like he had a good attitude towards things. And unfortunately, he's not here anymore. Yeah, he's gone. But his work ethic is not forgotten at this point. Generally, our work is seen after the fact and not during the fact. But that's what I was doing last week. And this is a person I haven't seen in years. Family I haven't seen in years. And I got a call from a buddy of mine who's been on this podcast before. Tell me what happened. And I looked into it a little bit more, and I was like, I have to go. So I cleaned up, left where I was. I left around like 4 o'clock and headed straight for the funeral home. And it's, a person with this much impact, you see it. A long line of people. And you just walk in there and you see the wife and the daughters and the son just standing there like a fucking conga line. As everybody comes over and just, what happened? I'm sorry, this. And and you have to go through each and you're already exhausted emotionally. You've just gone through everything, and now you've got to do this. And you've almost got to hold it back in some ways. Or you're just emotionally over it at that point where, after everybody says what they got to say or whatever. And I didn't say much. I just walked in, waited in line patiently. When it was my turn, I just gave a big hug. And I said, usually I'm the one who has all the words, and today I have none. I understand that you have a lot of people in this line that you're going to run through. I get it, but I'm here. My number hasn't changed. My location hasn't changed. I'm around. Gave one more hug, moved out of the way. Talked to the daughter, let her know that I'm around, I'm available, I'm sorry. Just hold it together. You do what you can. What you say is never perfect. Just know that, but you were there. You were a face. You keep it simple and you move on. Because that's what a good man who's no longer with us would have wanted. Keep it simple, do it right, give it your all. So, I don't know, I've been thinking about it on and off this week. It's like, what happens now? Obviously, you got all these shoes to fill and all the things that were done, and it's it's obviously it's sad. It's sad to know that a good man who worked hard is no longer here. That all you have to reflect on is pictures and memories of smiles and laughter and challenges, and you have to live day by day now with that in mind. I mean, I lost my father, what was it? It's been 8 years now. 9? It's 2018. 8 years, yeah. About that. And I had already learned the thing is, and I don't know if this is disrespectful to say, I had already learned to live without him. But ultimately, that's something you should do as an adult. You should learn to live without your parents. But not in just in the way that you can support yourself. Like, I don't need you guys, but not in a mean way, but like I don't need you guys anymore in that way. But I like that you're still around. Because sometimes I need to talk to you. Sometimes I want to talk to you. I've always been that. I've always been very distant anyways from family. I've always been that way. I'm very distant in general. Very distant individual. I've always compared myself to being a little satellite that just orbits the planet, but I never come back in for re-entry. But I'm there, and I see what's going on. But when your parents leave, leave this earth, it's still tough. When your spouse leaves you, it's still tough. But a man such as this, who provided so much and did so much quietly, without expecting thank yous and great praise, he just did what he needed to do. That's a man I can get behind. That's a man that I can give respect to. And that's the reason I went to that. It's the reason I went to that wake, is he had earned my respect from the moment I met him. Because he was a man who worked. He was a man who in this world today is needed. There should be more men like him out there. And damn it if there isn't. So, Ken, rest in peace. You were a good dude. I always liked you. And I'm sorry I didn't get to see you in the last few years. Anyways. You can find me on Instagram at +_sarcasm. You can hit me up on my website, positivesarcasm.com. Like, subscribe, share, donate, positivesarcasm.com/donate. Any amounts appreciated. Remember, things on this podcast are for entertainment purposes only, for legal reasons, but remember, I didn't make it this far just stumbling. I mean, I've always stumbled, but, there's a method to this madness. Granted, nothing's always perfect. Not every stock pick I have is great. I've got some health concerns. Even though I've tried to do everything right, at the end of the day, lack of sleep catches up with you. High stress catches up with you. And I'm learning that now. But I'm learning to manage it. I'm learning to manage it and deal with it until I can get some more expertise on the matter. Because panicking is not going to solve any problems. So, find me on my website. Podcast is available anywhere podcasts are downloadable, audio-wise. YouTube and Rumble is where you can find the video version. Audio is available on Substack, and you can download it and stream it directly from my website, positivesarcasm.com. But I think we'll leave it at that. Remember, don't stress on things. Focus on what's going to get you through the day, what's going to get you through the week, and then see if you got a little bit left over. Make an effort to have a little bit left over for things you want to achieve in the future. That's all I got to say. Thank you for listening, watching, and subscribing. I hope to talk to you next week. In the meantime, recorded here from the Spare Parts Studio, alongside New Hampshire's beautiful seacoast, for entertainment purposes only. This has been a Positive Sarcasm presentation. Rest in peace, Ken.